The Michigan Wolverines will also be a team that, while they missed the playoff this past year, I'm not sure it would surprise anybody. Given how they finished up, I'm not sure it would surprise anybody to see Michigan back in the mix this upcoming year. I know people are going to probably put a little bit more stake than they probably should based on how things went in the bowl game against Alabama and how things went in the final game of the regular season against Ohio State. I understand that those are individual circumstances, but at the same time, how can you not allow that to factor into your evaluation? I know it's going to factor into mine because I think last year, I think about what they didn't have more so than what they had. And what they didn't have was quality quarterback play. And anything but quality quarterback play. It was almost at times hard to watch that position for Michigan. There was seldom a threat of the pass. If there was, it was almost, all right, well, we'll keep them honest and throw it downfield, and hopefully one of our guys will go make a play. Regardless of who ends up starting at quarterback for Michigan, it might be Mikey Keene, the transfer from Fresno State, who's long been a super productive player. He's not going to blow you away with his physical attributes, but he's always been pretty productive. And this is an offense that I think doesn't need too much from the quarterback spot. If they can continue to run the ball with efficiency, if they can continue to be a very physical football team, they can lean on their defense, the quarterback simply has to just manage the game, manage the situations, and Mikey Keene's a veteran player that has seen just about every possible situation that college football can throw at you, and he can probably steer the ship. But if they decide that they might need a little bit higher ceiling out of the quarterback position, well, perfect. We'll go with the number one prospect in the ESPN top 300, and that's Bryce Underwood. So that's a guy with all their attributes, all the ability, all the skill, but maybe not the experience, and he might have to learn on the job. Would it surprise you if Michigan took a similar approach to their quarterback development to what Florida took last year? Florida started the veteran quarterback early in the year, but they sprinkled in DJ Lagway a little bit throughout the season. Graham Mertz ultimately gives away a little bit more, and a little bit more. Now, Graham Mertz was a little bit banged up there in the early going, which allowed Lagway to step into the mix. But then ultimately, Mertz gets hurt. Lagway steps in, and because of the reps that he had garnered early in the year, down the stretch, he started to play really confident, and his play just got better and better and better as the season went along. Is that how they'll approach it with Bryce Underwood? Probably. I'd be surprised if it is Mikey Keene, if it's his all season long. I think they'll probably, every third series, we're going to go with the freshman. Every fourth series, we'll go with the freshman. The bigger the game, go with the hot hand. If it's Underwood that's seeing the field great and making great decisions, then he could be the guy that kind of takes Michigan's offense to the next level. I also love their offensive coordinator hire of Chip Lindsey. Did a really good job at North Carolina the last couple of years, a guy that really prides himself on being able to run the football. I think he's been around young quarterbacks in the past, so he'll know how to kind of bring Bryce Underwood along a little bit. So it'll be really interesting to see whether or not the 3-year starter at the FBS level and Mikey Keene can hold off Bryce Underwood down the stretch. They also had a couple other pieces. You got a redshirt freshman, Jordan Marshall, that's probably going to be the number one back to start, but maybe it's Justice Haynes, the transfer from Alabama, that spells him just a little bit. So that should be a little interesting 1-2 punch there. But the defensive front, that's going to be really difficult to replace Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. That's to be expected, right? You expect Damon Payne, the transfer from Alabama, to go in and to be Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant. It's not going to happen. But can he be good enough to allow the edge players to have some success, because they do have some talent on the edges of their defense? Couple key games, tough schedule, by the way. I think it's a very tough schedule. At Oklahoma in the second week of the season, Oklahoma's in gotta-have-it mode for Brent Venables here in year number 3. They're at Nebraska, a team that I think is going to be a lot better in the middle of September. You also have Wisconsin at your place before you head to USC on October 11th. Think about this October, by the way. I think October is really, really tough. You have Wisconsin at home, at USC, Washington at home, at Michigan State. Now you're going to sit there and say, well, Michigan State's not going to be very good. USC might not be very good. Wisconsin and Washington, they might be a bowl team. But I just think that order, home, away, That Washington game's dangerous because you have an at SC and then you have at Michigan State, the rivalry game the following week. I think that's dangerous. It lightens up a little bit in November, but they still have to go to Maryland, which is a dangerous game, before they play Ohio State at home. So I think Michigan's one of those teams that if momentum can carry over from last year, they should feel pretty good about the trajectory they might be on this upcoming season.